Even experts forget to hit record sometimes.
Hey, listen, no, I never said I was an expert. Oh my goodness. Kim, I'm so excited to be doing this with you. Listen, we're here, we're live, it's a thing, and you know what that means. We gotta start with a little bit of this, a little intro music, a little dancing. Here we go. What? We have arrived. Thank you so much for being with us, folks. If you're joining us live, this is so exciting. We're here with Kim Rittberg. If you're joining us after, and this is a recording, maybe you don't even know me. I'm Cesar Cervantes. I am a speaker coach and speech writer and founder of Top Talks, where we help you land and deliver TEDx talks and keynote speeches, and really just engage your audience in a way that pulls them in and introduces them to what you do, and ultimately help them. So what we're doing today is we are chatting with Kim, who is an expert at many things, but has worked at, oh, I don't know, Netflix, People, Us Weekly. Is that right? Did I get these right? Okay. Just a real professional at how to engage people on video, and so now that's all she does. She works with entrepreneurs and speakers and folks of all different walks of life, and really showing them, teaching them, helping them build their business from being on camera. And so I thought we'd invite her in because she's also a client of mine and has recently delivered her first TEDx talk. And she crushed it. She nailed it. And because this is her expertise, I wanted to bring her in to talk about, when we're putting together our pitch videos for a TEDx application, or maybe a keynote that you're submitting for. There's an open call for speakers. Whatever that kind of that part of it is that's you on video, Kim can help. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Kim Rittberg, everybody.
I'm not going to dance again, okay?
Oh, sorry. Well, I'll make you on the way out. Is that okay? Kim, what else? What else do you want to tell folks? What else did I miss about your introduction?
No, you did it great. So I spent 15 years in media. I basically help prepare thousands of people to be on TV, live TV, tape TV. And now I work with authors, founders, self-employed folks to show up confidently on camera and also help them figure out what to make. And that means no matter your personality, introvert, extrovert, there is a way to show up with authenticity and confidence, no matter your area of expertise, no matter how much you love or hate the camera, really helping you to show off your amazing authentic self. So I'm really excited to be here because I believe obviously strongly in TEDx and keynote speeches, and I do a lot of speaking myself. And so I'm happy to be here to offer some advice.
Yeah, Kim, you've been crushing it. I've been watching you do a ton of speaking, and yeah, I'm just really excited to kind of jump in. We'll leave some time for Q&A at the end too, if you're joining us here live, or if you have any questions, just pop them in the chat, okay? So, well, why don't we just get started like with the transition, right? So you're a big exec, you graduated from a fancy college, you're doing all the cool things, checking all the boxes. Mom is ridiculously proud of you, right? And what I'd say that because I've met mom and she's amazing and she's proud of you no matter what. But you were in a really like sort of, I guess, check all the boxes peak time in your life. What changed to make you say like, all right, I want to transition and kind of do my own thing?
The best thing to do is spend all your money on a fancy Ivy League degree and climb the corporate ladder. And then when you're doing really well, quit. No, well, the truth is that when I was pregnant with my second kid, I was doing really well and I work really, truly, media is amazing, but it's as grueling as it is glamorous. And at the peak of my career, basically, I was working during childbirth for my second child. And I just kind of had this moment like, is this really what I want? Like, am I kind of just following along because that's what I know you're supposed to do? Like, keep striving for the next thing and just keep going until you're basically at the top, but then you look around, you're like, oh my God, my kids graduated college. I haven't seen them in 20 years, And
Right.
it just kind of made me stop and think, what is it about my career that I do love? Is there a different way to do it? Can I do this in a different way? And that led me to launching my own business. It took a lot of I had to crush a lot of imposter syndrome and self-doubt. Even though I had a really good career, it definitely was really scary to launch a business on my own. I will say, I launched my business, I earned 6 awards, which was really exciting. And I feel like it was very validating, obviously. And I got to work on some projects with some really amazing impact, these great nonprofits. And then I started helping independent business owners where I believe so deeply in the capability of us through our voice and through video to make a mark in the world. And so for me to be able to help other business owners has been super incredible. And I feel like very connected to the mission, even though at first I was like,
Yeah.
need to not work in the hospital. Now I feel really committed to the mission of like helping other people get their voice out there. And I work with a lot of people who, come to me and they're like, I believe in my message, but like, oh, where do I go? Or like, how do I show up with confidence? I don't feel great. Can you see this thing on my cheek? When I talk, my tooth is whatever. So everybody feels those things. And so I love helping them kind of get out of their own heads.
I think I might actually have something there. Let me get that. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
Always rock.
listen, I love the story, right? Because I think, in a similar way, I have a similar story where I just felt kind of burnt out. And like I had kind of it what I used to do ran its course and I was an administrator and I've been teaching and just didn't feel that same love anymore. And another client of mine has this talk about that I really resonate with is that instead of trying to find your purpose, you need to find the what season of purpose you're in. And that to me struck like there's so much pain that comes from this idea that you have to find the one thing and stick to it and it's got to be your life's work. And that is true for some people, right? But even when you talk to them, there was a lot of like, try this and that, and along the way, what if this and that? And it seems like a trajectory that is just A to B. And there's a lot for me, there's this tremendous sense of relief when you think of it that way of like, what season am I in? And so I think it's beautiful what you've created and the season you're in and that you're, helping so many people. Just love what you do. So let's jump into before we get into like maybe the actual teaching side of like what you're going to show us, I would love to just kind of identify what you see as the hurdles that are most common for folks because at this stage, like we all know that video is like what you do when you want to get out there if you really want to maximize being seen and engaging people and connecting with them, right? So what are those hurdles from actually getting us on camera and doing something?
Sure. The major one that I see both for myself, like even when I started my business, I didn't want to be on camera. Even though I had trained thousands of people to be on TV, I knew every last trick. Like I had been on camera like a little bit, but most of my career was behind the scenes. I was mostly an executive producer, a writer. So I felt that too. And I want to say that almost everybody feels self-conscious on camera. So I say that we kind of exist when we put the camera on, we start in supermodel mode. And we really think that we're on a runway and there's a spotlight on us and everybody's looking at us. Yeah, they're like listening to our voice. It's too high, it's too low. We think that our teeth look weird. We think that we're kind of awkward. And everybody has that moment where we're in supermodel mode and we think everyone's inspecting us. But you absolutely, the biggest thing, have to shift into teacher mode. The only thing that can get you out of your own head is just focusing on the message you're delivering. There's no shortcut. It's just like you have to say, okay, maybe I don't like this tooth. Okay, maybe I don't think I look like a supermodel. Okay, I believe in my message. I believe that I'm helping someone. Someone out there needs to hear this. And that is going to push you forward. But that's the major thing I've seen from I've worked with people who are so successful. You're like, there's no way that person's self-conscious. I promise you they are. And I've seen it. And I've had the same thing for myself. Like I am paid money by big companies to make podcasts and videos. And when it came time for me to launch my own video, my own podcast, it took me a year. And I was thinking, like, oh, who wants to hear from me? What do I have to say? But I really over time was like, no, no, actually, there are a lot of people out there starting their own businesses, feeling imposter syndrome, feeling insecure. I'm going to show up give them marketing tips, bring other founder stories to my show, and like pushing yourself through that moment, that's when the unlock comes. Like for me, pushing myself through it, get launching my podcast, showing up on camera. That's how I've been getting keynotes. Like all the my first keynotes were from showing up on social media, from my own podcast, from being a guest on other people's podcasts.
Right.
No one's gonna knock on my apartment door and be like, Kim, even though you're hiding from the camera, I'd like you to come to my conference. Like, hiding from the camera is hiding from opportunities. And
Yeah.
so it's really important to know that we all start with the same insecurities. Everyone feels that way. You're in good company, and we need to step through that and do it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you're so right. And this is something that I talk about over and over again. So much of speaking is about showing people that you speak. So, people have to see it and they have to go, oh, right, Kim can do this. I've got a thing coming up. And it's really just about the timing of, well, first you coming, being top of mind for a particular problem that you solve, but then also the reminder of what you do and your expertise.
And there's a couple things. So I love that you're raising this. Number one, there's that old idea of show, don't tell. I can tell you that I'm an astrophysicist. You shouldn't believe me because I'm lying. But if you see me in a lab, then you're like, oh, maybe she's an astrophysicist. She's in a lab suit, lab coat. But I was a TV producer. I was the person who would decide if you went on camera or not, and you are the expert, right? I would never put someone on camera on TV that I had not seen a video of, that I had not seen them speak. Why? Because I'd get fired. Because my
Mm,
video segment, my TV segment would be bad if you showed up and you weren't experienced. So you have to remember that when you're showing up and you're telling people, oh, I'm a speaker, you have to show them you're a speaker. And even before you get opportunities, even just being on camera, even just
yeah.
having yourself filmed as if you're speaking, it is really, really, really hard to get speaking engagements if you are not speaking on a stage or even in your office. And
Yeah.
it's really the show don't tell. Like I wouldn't get my kidney removed or whatever you get removed, not kidney removed, whatever, from a doctor who doesn't have their diploma behind them. Because I'd be like, I don't know they're a doctor. So that's probably not, I'm really obviously not a doctor. I don't know.
Gallbladder,
Gallbladder.
appendix.
Hey, I don't even know what a kidney does. But the idea is you really have to show up with what you would say on that keynote speech and start talking about that on camera. And so start with, what do I know? What do I teach people? What are the questions I get? And that's how
Yeah.
you showing up and building up that credibility as you're trying to land the TEDx. After you've landed your TEDx, don't stop there. Like you have to kind of be everywhere and don't stop. And don't think you're unique in that you hate your teeth, you hate your voice, you hate your hair. Like everyone feels that way. Whatever. Anyway, move on, right? So
Yeah.
but it's very important to do the show, don't tell about speaking.
Yeah. No, 100%. And another hurdle that we talked about is just there is something about then seeing yourself on camera that brings up stuff, And so in the process of, as you went through my program and like first we get the application ready, then we get your video ready. And that is often where people get stuck is the video. And they need a little push or a little nurturing or what have you. And usually it shows up in this way of like, again, imposter syndrome or, oh, doubting the idea or the language or the words. But then there can be emotions that come up that are really unrelated. And it could be bringing up just like, let's just say like trauma from stuff, maybe? I mean,
Definitely.
what have you seen, Kim, that is unique to this in video?
So actually, the second TEDx that I landed with Ziza, it's really focused on the real reason you're not showing up, which is fear. And it took me a long time to realize this until I had really truly started working with like hundreds of people. One thing that was different than TV, in TV, these people were already ready for TV. They really want to be on TV, right? Sometimes it's a regular person who I'm helping to prep, but generally speaking, it's people who are ready for TV. Now that I work more with actual, I don't want to say regular people, they're experts and they're successful and intelligent in their own right, but we have the stuff in our head happening. There's so much fear that is under it. So sometimes it's a self-consciousness, sometimes it's a fear of judgment. Like we envision someone who mistreated us in our life, whether it was in childhood or in adulthood. We start questioning, do I really deserve this? Should I really be on a TEDx stage? I'm not really an expert, am I? And all of these things come up. I mean, I've had clients cry on calls with me, like literally cry, because I'll be like, hey, did you see what amazing thing happened when you showed up on camera? And
Mhm.
they just had this realization like they actually are worthwhile and they are like successful and people are listening to them. And there's just a lot mixed up in that. Like I'm not a therapist,
Yeah.
but I really I've worked with so many people and I see this in so many situations that I've had people, I've worked with them for ages, and then we'll make this video and then they'll love it and then they won't post it. And I'm like, but you
Yeah.
love that video. And they're like, I do. Well, let's sit and post it. And they're like, I can't. And it up a lot of things. And it's okay to
Wow.
say, it's okay to
Yeah.
it's maybe making you question if you're really an expert. It's maybe making you question if you deserve success. It's okay to say, like, these are questions that are
Yeah.
coming up and talk to your partner, your therapist, your pastor, whomever, but like have honest conversations about why you've gone this far and spent this much money and spent this much thought and effort into it, but you don't want to get to the next level. It's just roadblocks, and just figuring out how to get
Right.
past them is really, really important because I see that with a lot of people as well.
Yeah, 100%. One of the things that I say, when we start to get nerves, everybody gets nerves, right? Or anxiety before speaking, and maybe you even self-sabotage, and you're like, I can't do this speaking gig, right? And what I tell folks is that this is sort of an adage that's out there in the speaking world, which is that if you're feeling that, it's usually because you are not prepared or because you think it's about you. And it's probably both. And people tend to go like, yeah, I guess I'm doing both, right? Well, okay, we got to get you prepared, and then we got to shift towards thinking about how you can actually help and serve people, because that's what really this is about. And this is what's the most fulfilling part, is seeing that other people can have a transformation or, change their life because you invited them into something.
Yeah.
And the more time we spend there, the easier it becomes. But also, it is a little bit about you, right? Especially if you're having trouble finding out what it's bringing up and why you're feeling those things. So it's also an opportunity to work through them.
And I think
Okay.
I like what you just said about that quote from speaking experts is the same. It's very similar to what I say about we start out in supermodel mode and we really think it's about us and that everyone's looking at us. But when we shift to our message, it's more freeing. Like I'm not thinking about the fact that like, I didn't do my hair or maybe my lipstick color's off. If I'm really like, I'm excited to be here and bringing people knowledge, it makes me less self-conscious. And to the point of like, don't watch it back. I mean, it's hard when you're practicing for TEDx, but I think of it as like an uphill thing. Like when you first start out making videos, don't watch yourself back. It's really, really, really hard. As you grow in your experience of making videos and being on stages, you do have to watch yourself back to improve. But it's okay to say, like, I'm not there yet. Like, I'm really working on building up my muscle and my confidence. It's okay. Like, at different stages, you're at different levels, and that's okay.
Yeah, totally. One thing I will offer to folks is just like to maybe ask yourself, like, why is this coming up now? Is many of us have an experience where we put ourselves out there and we were excited, or it was, it really meant something, and we were shot down, or we received criticism that from somebody we love, or we were publicly shamed in some kind of way. We were called a fraud.
Mm.
These are common experiences, especially in the age of social media and of just people having access to you in sort of an unprecedented way in human history, right? So you might ask yourself if there's an experience that has told you not to shine too bright. And if you can pinpoint that and say, okay, this is coming up. Let me work through it. Let me affirm what I'm trying to do here and move forward. With that, Kim, I'd love to move in now to thinking about the a specific form of the way that we show up on camera, which is the pitch video. And so this will come up in both TEDx applications, and also if there's an open call for speakers for keynotes, or just speaking at conferences in general. Um, uh, all over the place, there's opportunities like this where they say, "Hey, you know, pitch us or put yourself on camera and tell us what your idea is, what you want to talk about." So walk us through like the journey that you would say, like, all right, here's how you want to enter into this thing.
Sure. So have a little acronym that I use because I find that it's helpful to like catch it out. So I call it the patch method. And I would definitely say this is for when you're putting yourself on camera for a video script, like where you're pitching yourself or a video. It's for videos in general, but it's really how to kind of our main goal is to get our point across and to seem authentic. So that's, you don't want to seem overly presentational. You don't want to seem like a talk show host, but you don't also want to seem nervous. So it's called the patch method. So P is preparation. It's just, I cannot stress enough. You will only get better the amount that you practice. There's just never a world in which your first video, your fourth video, or your eighth video is awesome. It's just not. I look back at the videos of myself on social media when I first started my business and started showing up. I wasn't bad, but I was not authentic. I wasn't like the Kim that I am today on camera. I just wasn't doing it that often. We are all a little bit out of practice, and that's okay. So, number one, P, preparation. What that means for a video like that, it means don't have your prompter read be the first time you're saying it out loud. So we work a lot on paper and think about it like this. Um, when you read a book out loud to your nephew, your niece, your child, we're often using it's called like a reading, like it's called, I call it a reading voice. So I'm like, the cat jumped over the stone, da 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 da, and it's very flat. But when we're
Right.
actually talking, we are much more vibrant and much more dynamic. So our goal is to get out of reading voice and into speaking voice. That comes with practice. So you have the script, you have the pitch script. You have to read it out loud many times until you're comfortable with the words. So you don't have to memorize it, but none of the words should be a surprise. So I'll tell you this. So I was a writer for an anchor in TV, right? I would write their scripts, I would get to know their voice. They would never go on and read the scripts in the prompter for the first time. They would say them out loud to get your actual mouth muscles familiar with the words. Also, take
Right.
words that catch you up. If there are words that you're like, oh, I'm tripping up on it, change that word. It doesn't really matter, right? So make sure that this is comfortable for you to say. So that's the preparation is literally read your script a few times out loud so that your mouth is comfortable with it and the delivery of it can shine instead of you being kind of surprised by the words as they're coming up in the prompter. Okay, so that's the P of patch is preparation.
Can I
Um,
pause right there real quick, Kim?
yes.
Because yeah, I think this is key. And I think for sometimes we won't have, enough time to like own the words fully, right? But if you do have the time and it's like 1 to 2 minutes long or something it's actually not that much work to memorize, but also just to make it your own, right? And that way you can be fully present and do exactly what you're saying, which is that in everyday conversation, we have vocal variation rather than coming in with that pitch and pace that's the same like when we read. So just one nuance there that you can fully own the words if you have the time. Fair?
I would argue that, like, honestly, every single person here is pitching an idea that is relevant to their area of expertise. I assume you actually probably talk about this very often. Like,
Right.
that sounds weird, but like if you're in a networking event or people ask you what you do or what you talk about, like most of us, if you're a doctor, your TEDx not going to be about cats, right? So I actually think the words that you're saying should be pretty familiar to you. So even if you can't memorize it, it's they all exist in your genre of your work, your career, your expertise. So actually none of them, sorry, I'm like, none of them should be, none of these words should be very unfamiliar to you. And if they are,
Mhm.
I would recommend just in general, like getting an elevator
Change it
pitch
up.
and practicing it a lot in just general situations. So then when you're giving a video pitch, all of the energy and the pace and the words feel familiar to you.
Yes, perfect.
Cool. Okay, so P is preparation. A is authentic. So the main goal is to sound authentic. That comes with preparation. That comes with getting your voice warmed up also. So, when you wake up and your voice, you're like, good morning, it's like froggy. So when you're doing a video pitch, I recommend talking to someone beforehand, talking to an inanimate object in your room beforehand, drinking some tea with honey, whatever. But you really want to warm up your voice a little bit. And, Charlotte had asked earlier about a lot of people feel formal at the beginning of a video, at the beginning of a podcast interview. When we start interviewing, maybe me and Caesar talk like this, but when we start cold on a video, we're like, hello, I'm Kim. I want to talk to you about video. And that's normal because we're kind of like, we're not already yet in conversational vocal variation land. So what I recommend is before you're actually recording, have a conversation. If it's too distracting to have like a real phone call with somebody in your life, I would recommend just like talking to something. Like
Yeah,
just narrate what you're doing. Oh, right now I'm grabbing my pen, I'm about to practice. It's just going to start to bring a more conversational tone. So when I prep people to do on camera, some on camera work, sometimes I'll say, talk to someone. So like talk to someone behind the camera. So I'd be like, hey Gigi, blah, 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 blah. And then
right.
I'll start my pitch.
That's a great tip.
So that way my voice is already working.
Great tip. Love that one.
Yeah. So narrate. So like, you just, I know it sounds silly, but a lot of us narrate our day anyway, unintentionally. And so just kind of narrate a little bit. That will get your voice feeling a little less formal. Charlotte, I've had that before. Like Charlotte just asked that great question. I have had that before. When I started my podcast, my first reads were very stiff. It's because I wasn't warming up enough. And also with more practice, with the more you practice reading, the more you practice the prompter, the more you practice talking to the camera, the conversational tone will come over time.
Right.
Cool. So prepare A, authentic. T, turn off devices. Do not disturb. It's super important to be very present. I know that sounds obvious, but like you're not thinking about your to-do list. You're not thinking about what you're buying at the grocery store. Like you have to really be in the moment. You're really giving the read your all. C, confidence. So confidence, that means, shoulders back, chin up, a little bit of a smile. A lot of times people don't smile before they start recording. So that's very important. Just and then along with confidence, do a little bit of breathing. That gives us like calms us down, makes us feel good. Whatever makes you confident. If you listen to Beyonce, you dance with Caesar, it's really about figuring out the way that makes you feel good about yourself. um, and then the H is harness your energy. So most of us have a natural energy. Let's say this is baseline. Some of us are fast talkers, high energy. Some of us are slow talkers, a little low energy. Some are in the middle. You're allowed to guess what you think I am. Just kidding. But when we're on camera, we all have to adjust ourselves a little bit. So for me, I'm a fast talking New Yorker, but I'm nice. I have to slow my pace down so people can catch my meaning. Other people, most people, have to raise their energy because when we turn on the camera, we get nervous. What happens when we're nervous? We're robotic, we're a little awkward. So, what we really have to do is turn it up a little bit. I have a thing called dinner party energy. I just posted about this on social media in a video. When we talk about harness our energy, bring that dinner party energy. Someone comes into your house and I'm like, hey, Caesar, I'm so excited you're here to eat my oven roasted chicken. Thank you so much for joining me. So you see how that's kind of like it's warm, it's high energy, but it's not like, hey, everybody, thanks for coming to my TEDx. And it's also not, hey, everyone, thank you for coming to my TEDx. Too soft, too low energy. So you really want to kind of like, most people need a little bit of an energy boost. If you do
Yeah.
know yourself that you have too much energy, you could take it down a notch, but most people need to raise the energy. So again, just think about dinner party energy. You open the door and you're like, come on in, the lasagna's ready.
Right. It's like it's still you, but like but you turn it up a little bit, right? I like that dinner party energy.
Yeah,
Um,
it's like a 5 to 10% raise. It's not a 50% raise. You're not hosting
right.
a show. I think sometimes we feel like, oh, I need to be bigger. It's like, no, you just need to like be a little more in love with
Yeah.
your, a little more
Effervescent.
effervescent, a little more excited, a little more excited for that person to be here.
Yeah, because we don't want it to feel like a performance or like we're trying to be someone we're not, right? But you're exactly right, is that most people do need to turn it up just a little bit so that it's not so dry. But yeah, especially for TEDx when we're doing the pitch videos, they really just want to see you. They want to understand what the idea is, why you're the person to deliver it. But then also they want to see what you would be like on stage, right? At the end of the day, the E in TED does stand for entertainment. And so there's a component of this that is about being entertaining. This becomes a piece of content that lives on the internet. And so we don't want to forget that piece either.
And I will say it's a process to grow and be more to on camera seem more like yourself. It seems obvious, but like
Yeah.
everyone just be yourself. It's actually hard to be yourself on a camera. So you actually have to practice being natural. And the
Yeah.
thing that I said, I was on camera like a local reporter for a little while. And my first videos, I was like, hello, this is Kim Rittberg reporting live for Files One News. Don't talk like that at all. That's not my
Do you have
personality.
video of that? Uh,
I'm sure it's
I,
dead and buried if there is. But over time, like the more segments I did, the more I actually talked like myself, but
yeah,
the reporter version of me instead of impersonating some
right,
reporter. So just remember, you don't need to sound like someone else. You just need to be the most confident and a little more energetic version of yourself. So I think it's a little bit of like, don't watch someone else's video. Don't look at someone else's video. Just
right.
really make sure you're being a more confident version of yourself and having
Yes.
that vocal variation so you're not doing the reading voice.
Yeah, that's exactly right. At the end of the day, when the committee or the person who's making the selection for this watches the video, they want to feel like they're connecting with you. And one of the quickest ways to, pull people out of it is if they feel like they're getting something that isn't you. And we have become really good at spotting this. And I think it's because we consume so much content these days and we can spot things that are manufactured and things that are conversational and coming from that person. And so I think those tips are perfect, Kim. What else? What else did you want to add to this before we kind of maybe open it up to Q&A or ask some other questions?
I think the important thing to think about also is we live in a world where if you think about who you follow on social media and who you listen to on a podcast, it's really passionate professionals. It's really not like only broadcast anchors or only celebrities. And so I think it's really an adjustment of like people want to hear from you. People
Yeah.
do want to hear from passionate professionals who really know what they're talking about. So it's just very important to start using your own voice and start owning your voice and saying, there is room for me. There's a reason I'm doing this. I deserve to be heard. And then with that, all you need to do is build up your own confidence and your own energy. So like tune out the noise of like someone else in your field who's doing better or your peer from college who's like a bajillionaire. You just have to tune that out. And you just have to say, these are concrete things. These are tips from Kim. I'm just going to practice these tips. If I can improve myself 5 to 10% every single month, in a year, you're going to be like so much better. And so it's really, really important to not just take these tips, but actually put them into practice. So I recommend for anyone, Charlotte, Gigi, anyone else listening, take your phone and start talking to your phone. So turn it around. If you're very self-conscious, don't look at your mode, do it this way, but start talking about your elevator pitch. So I would just say, hi, I'm Kim Rittberg. I love helping professionals get better on camera and make videos that grow your impact. I spent 20 years in media at Netflix, Us Weekly, People Magazine. So I'm just kind of narrating like my elevator
Yeah.
to the phone. Every time you do that, that is like going to the gym and working a muscle. It really is. It's working your confidence, it's working your voice, it's working your on camera skills. So, like, don't discount the idea. If you talked to your camera every other day this month, you would have gotten 15 reps in. That will make your pitch video so much better. But a lot of people don't do that. They show up and they
Yeah.
record the pitch video and they're like, why am I awkward? We're all awkward the first time we're doing something. Everyone is. So but you just have to put in the reps. You just have to tune out the noise and you have to just say like, it doesn't matter if I'm not wearing makeup. It doesn't matter if I don't have all if I don't have a good outfit on. It's just for yourself. It's just practice, right? So don't make excuses. And I don't mean to be rude, but like I'm a coach, I'm like, I'm very like honest, but I'm like, you have to just put in the time. And if you really want to get better
Right.
at this, you just need to practice a little bit every other day, a few times a week, but put it in your phone. Make an appointment to do it. And really, if you practice, keep practicing, your pitch video is going to be so much better.
Yeah. I love that. Like, so you don't even have to post them. Like you could just create them, you
Especially
know?
for TEDx. I think especially for TEDx, where you're really talking about something very unique, where you're like, I'm going to unveil this to the world. It's going to be this big thing.
Right.
don't want to talk about it, if you're really not ready, you're too self-conscious and you're not on social media a lot, you don't have to post them. Most of my clients do want to grow their impact through video. So I recommend to them, do a bunch of them that's private, and then I'm going to start pushing you to post some of them. But
Yeah.
if you really aren't there, you really don't want to make videos, like just do it for yourself. If you're really committed to TEDx, that's your major goal, don't post them, just get the practice in. I mean, obviously I'm a video person, so I do think it's worth it to like,
Put it out there.
put it out there and start letting people know. Because who knows, maybe somebody in the next town over or someone in a networking group hears
Right.
your video, hears what you're talking about, and says, "Oh, you'd be great for this seminar I'm leading." So opportunities can come once you start talking about what you do. So I do think
Totally.
it's to not hide.
But sometimes it's really just like if that's the thing that's preventing you from practicing, maybe take it off the table, right? At least in the beginning, and just say, just record it. And do that for 7 days or whatever, and then pick one you like, and then post that one.
Right.
Um, okay, so folks that are on the call, if there's other questions, please go ahead and pop them into the chat now. So glad you're with us. One other thing I wanted to ask about, Kim, because I also had the honor and privilege of working with you to help in developing the talk itself. And one of the things that a moment that I felt like was key was when we identified a couple of spots where you were sort of reacting to what you were saying, which is what we want, but it didn't quite match what was being said. It felt like the energy was different than what was being said. And I'm wondering if you could walk us through how we can identify those moments for ourselves, or if we watch it and we go, something's not quite right, but we don't know what it is. I feel like it made all the difference in having the right energy on the day that you delivered it.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I do think that that's why you're so good at what you do, because it is, having a second voice, second set of eyes, second voice, on moments. Because sometimes it's like everything is feeling really good, and there's just like a couple of moments that like don't land. So,
Right.
giving it to people you trust. So Caesar, I'll often run it by my mom, who like is obviously amazing, but also used to be a journalist, and she's really like understands. Like she'll always be like, make it funnier, Kim, you're funny, make it funnier. But I do think it really helps to have an outside person. I think it's hard to see that for yourself actually, because we live and exist in our own world. And so I
Yeah.
think there are some moments where like having a coach and saying like, "What do you think about this?" Like, I feel good. I feel 90% there. What do you think? Am I at
Right.
99%? Am I at 80%? Um, I do think that those are the moments like that it takes someone else to say this is that. And
Yeah.
it has its own tone. And I think that that's another thing that is really helpful to have a coach, because it is its own thing.
Yeah. I think that's exactly right. There are moments where, maybe it's not in these short little posts that we're creating, you don't need to run it by folks for this kind of stuff, but there are things where maybe it's more long form or it's an event, and there's such great value in letting people and trust who have expertise to give you that feedback. Sometimes we can open the gates too wide and we just invite feedback from anyone, any Joe Schmo, right? Or family members, and they don't always know. They don't always have the expertise. So I would say yes, seek it out, but be selective in that pursuit.
And always say what stage you're at. Like I'm like, hey, this speech is locked. I'm
Yep.
not making any changes. I literally just want
Yes.
to know if I need certain moments higher energy, certain moments more serious, certain moments funnier. Like, don't touch the words. And then like my mom or so my brother's a comedian. My mom is she's just a good, she used to be a journalist. She's a writer, but like they're good at fine tuning it. But I'm like, don't touch the words. They're locked. So it is
Yeah.
important to say like, what do I want the feedback on? Do I trust this person? I never ask people that I don't
Totally agree.
value.
You have to hold the vision. That's your job. Otherwise, it'll just be a collection of things that people said or, what have you.
But
So,
like you're not gonna ask for like cooking tips from like your friend who microwaves every meal. Like that doesn't make sense.
all right, we've got a couple of questions here. Gigi's got her hand up. Gigi, I'm just gonna take you off mute there, and then you can ask, and then we'll go over to Charlotte as well.
Guys, okay, so you just made me realize I've got to redo my whole pitch video.
No, we'll see. We'll look
Yeah,
at it. We'll look.
make it better. Anyway, but it made me think, yeah, that I think we try to memorize, we're not really sounding authentic sometimes, but what I was thinking is that, many of us are very, very passionate about our talks, and that I think that we need to keep it simple, and also that we're not there to sell an idea to someone, we're there to share it with them. And I think that would make a big difference that in the outcome is what
I
I'm
think that's
getting out of
right.
this.
Yeah,
Thank
definitely. I
you.
think you bet. Yeah, I think, for some people, just having a few bullet points is what's really great, and then just talking it through. There are, of course, when it comes to an idea, there are, of course, some lines that you want to nail, right? Like you really want to get those right. But yeah, sometimes we can feel like we're too stuck to the script, or we can't show up, or our memorization isn't good, and so you should give yourself that freedom for sure,
And
Gigi.
I do think you're right about like memorizing. I mean, I think for the if you're talking about the pitch videos, right? Like they definitely don't have to be memorized because like that's not the speech you're going to give. So if you can, there's two ways to do it. I mean, if you can use a prompter, but you really have to practice your prompter read. It's a skill to be a good reader, just like it's a skill to be a good memorizer and then deliver it like you're not memorizing it. So you just have to say, which am I better at? Right? When I advise my clients on making social media videos that are under 1 minute, I say, put a few bullets on a sticky note, and that's your video. Don't read a prompter. Don't memorize. I think it takes out too much of your personality to memorize it. So I say, put a couple bullets on a sticky note, put that on your phone, talk to your phone. That's it. But that's a 45-second video. And so if the pitch is 1 minute or it's 2 minutes and there are those bits that you really need in there, then you want to use a prompter, at least for part of it. And I would say just practice that you're not, your brain's not solely focused on memorizing. Your brain's focused on the delivery, the sharing of the message, the joy that you bring to the message. And that's the most important thing, right? So you have the
Yeah,
information, but the second part is like, oh, Gigi loves this. She's so excited to talk about this. Wow,
right. The
So
passion is there.
the passion. And so, yeah, Gigi, you're not selling it, but you don't want to not sell it. You want to like make them realize why it matters. Make them
I
realize
have
care about it.
I have had a couple of clients who successfully used a teleprompter. The challenge, as Kim just said, is like if you're not skilled in it, it becomes obvious that you're using a teleprompter, which is the tough part, right? The other thing that I had a client do is like they just took a Word doc with the words in there, and they kind of shrunk it and just put it like right under
Yeah.
the camera, and then they were scrolling as they were delivering, right? But their eyes stayed right below the camera the whole time, so you didn't have this like,
Yeah.
thing going on. And it worked for them, and they were able to deliver with vocal variation, and they didn't sound like they were reading it. For most people, really just kind of owning the script, making it yours, or just having a few bullet points to follow as you go it works best.
Yeah.
Um,
I
yeah,
think
go
also like
ahead.
see to that point, when you think about like old TV shows, they would have like cue cards. Like one thing is if you speak better, kind of not reading a prompter, which most people, unless you practice prompter a lot, it doesn't sound that good. You can just kind of have a cue card for like the one line that's your big idea, right? So maybe you just have like those 6 words on, I don't want to say a cue card, but it could be like on your sticky note, which
Right.
is like on your phone where you're recording it. Everything else is off the cuff. Then when you get to your big idea, you're not forgetting that 6 or 7 words, but everything else is off the cuff. I honestly, I shouldn't, I guess I'm going to be honest with Caesar. I don't think it's a surprise. I did a prompter read for my TEDx pitch. I do prompter reads. Not that often though. I only use prompter when if I'm selling a course and I really want to make sure there's like details that I want to make sure to mention, like what's in my course, blah, 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 blah. The TEDx pitch, I did want to make sure I'm like hitting the exact things, but I know how to read a prompter and I do practice a lot, and most people
Yeah.
don't. So I think that you just have to decide like which is the skill I will invest my time in, and then just go all in on that and forget about the other one. Don't even make it an option because otherwise you're splitting your
Yeah.
time and energy and it's not really worth it.
Beautiful. All right, let me get to Charlotte's question as well here. So Charlotte says, I have a big speech presentation on Monday. All right, let's go, Charlotte. Come on, let's get it. I can choose to be seated or standing. Is that a case of however I'm comfortable? It's online, which I hate. I'm thinking standing, which would feel more like I'm actually presenting to this large multi-site conference. is there a free prompter app? Okay, yeah, good. All right, to the first question, I'll start, and Kim, you can jump in here. For sure, if this is a real speech and presentation and you're going to be there for, however much time that is, the energy is going to be better on your feet. You're going to be able to move more freely. It's going to feel more like it's live. And so that doesn't mean that we need to see you from head to toe, though, right? You can be standing and it's still just a waist up shot because we still want to be engaging with you, your facial expressions, and have a pretty tight view of that. So yes, I would say standing is better. It will introduce the possibility of more kind of shifting and moving. So just make sure that you know where your shot is, you see you, and there's not too much fidgeting going on there. The second question is, the teleprompter. So yeah, depending on what kind of, like, if this is really just a keynote where let's say you're doing 20 minutes and you're delivering a talk and there's no interaction, that could work for you. And again, if you're skilled and you can use this function, then great. One of the challenges with the teleprompter is setting a speed to it, can then also put you into sounding like this, right? So you want to be able to manipulate the speed of that teleprompter at certain times, and so make sure that you have practiced with that prompter. And truthfully, the prompter should really just not be you reading it, but just knowing what's coming next and have the ability to kind of pause and start and create longer pauses when you need to, etc. So those are a few quick tips. In terms of the teleprompter itself, I don't know. I don't have one in mind because I don't use them much. And then looks like there's one more question, but Kim, what other thoughts do you have?
Sure. So for a speech, I think however you are most comfortable where you're bringing energy, I personally like to stand. It's like all of the energy in your body is out when you're standing, and when you're sitting, it's like a podcast interview, a Zoom interview. It's like that energy of you're there, you're present, but it's static, right? And so, I mean, generally speaking, people stand for keynotes and speeches and things like that. So I do think, then there's the other part of it is like, if you're going to use any footage of it or photos of it, it's going to look a little better if you are like standing, there's some motion. So if you're going to use in any way screenshots, screen recordings, or anything, that's going to look better. It's definitely how you're most comfortable. So I personally try to stand as often as I can. My energy is much better standing. And then for teleprompter apps, yes, you don't want a teleprompter for the speech. I think that's not what you're asking, Charlotte. You just want in general. There's a prompter app that's called literally teleprompter. It's not very creative. There's two of them. One is free. It's like dark blue and light blue. And one thing to be conscious of, basically, you put your script in there and it's a free app. You really just have to be conscious of the speed, like Caesar mentioned. You have to remember the lens is at the top. So it works really well for vertical videos. If you make sure you're reading only when the word's at the top, otherwise it's going to be like this. You're going to be eyes up and down, eyes up and down. So you really have to practice only reading when the words hit the top and wait for the words. You can make it slower, faster, but just be conscious of that. Similarly, if you're doing a horizontal video, it's a whole other beast because the lens is here and the words are here, and it's just the whole thing. So you just have to know that there's a little bit of a tech stuff going on. So I say for vertical videos, it's pretty easy to use the teleprompter app. If that's something you're going to work on, don't use prompters during speeches. I don't think that's a good idea unless you're on a big stage and someone's giving you like comfort monitor notes, and it's not a prompter, but it's just like notes for you to like quickly look at. I don't think you want to use a prompter, which I don't think you wanted to.
Yeah, great. Amazing, Kim. You are amazing. Stop it. Oh, you're amazing. Oh my gosh. I love this. I hope everybody got some great value out of today. I know I did. I learned some things, and we're gonna have to wrap, but you know what that means. You know what time it is, Kim. We gotta do a little bit of this, and a little bit of this, and a little bit of that. Here we go. Kim, before we go, can you just tell folks how to be in contact with you, how they can work with you, where they should find you, all that good stuff?
Sure. I'm on Instagram and LinkedIn at Kim Rittberg, Rittberg. I'll just drop that in the chat as well. And I have a YouTube channel called Kim Rittberg Content. So I drop a lot of tips, a lot of advice. I work with clients one-on-one and in group coaching to get confident on camera and make videos to grow your impact. I have a signature program called Video Boot Camp, which is like really, really fun. And that's my group coaching program. One other thing I was going to mention. Oh, I have a free download about getting confident on camera. So you can grab that. Just message me on Instagram and I'll send you the link for that. It's like how to shine on camera and ideas for how to make better videos. So if you're looking to expand your impact in addition to TEDx, and like I mentioned before, TEDx is a part of this larger thought leadership that we're all pursuing. And so it's really important to be putting your ideas out there in other places. You will get opportunities that you didn't imagine outside of that sphere, the more you share your expertise.
Love it. And I'll put those links also when I post the replay. Join me in thanking Kim Rittberg one more time, everybody.
Thank you for having me.
Love it, Kim. We'll talk soon. Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye.